Superman's coming out in July. There is a lot of insane news about this. A lot of people posting on Twitter and Reddit, and outlets and YouTubers picking it up like it's fact and just sort of spreading insanity. And I've talked about it before, but the movie is not an hour and 10 minutes long. It's not, that was a made up number, made up by our friends at, you want to guess, Shane?
Oh, could it be giant freaking robot?
Giant freaking robot. Go figure. Nice. And it hasn't had all the misinformation around this movie it's from a lot of people that just really don't want to see a new Superman. They're very much attached to Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder, and so a lot of people just make stuff up. Well, one thing that wasn't made up was there was an actual lawsuit against Superman that was going to stop it from releasing or at least a full release globally. And Shane, we've seen this before. When movies can't release in China and UK and all that, they usually don't do well enough to be considered successful.
Yeah, this is a money grab, by the way. So, listen, thank God that, that Joseph Schuster, one of the original creators of Superman, created Superman. But his estate is, they sold the rights to Warner Brothers. I'm sorry. His estate is trying to get as much money as they can. So what they're doing is they're going into these other countries where the movie might be released and trying to use their copyright laws to stop it so that they can try to get paid for Superman still.
Right.
So, the one thing I would tell you, if you create something that's popular, don't sell it and think of your future generations, or, be honest with your future generations.
Right. So. And this happens every time there's a Superman movie. This is not the first time. Usually the old guard at Warner Brothers would usually just pay these people off so that they can release the movie. This version of Warner Brothers was like, no, we're going to fight this legally. And so this is from Deadline. Superman will debut globally this summer as Warner Brothers Discovery escapes legal kryptonite in rights suit. Great headline. Great headline. Deadline.
Legal kryptonite.
Bro, great. Look, I actually put a lot of these stories in our folder that we share articles with. Mm-hmm. And I decided to go with this one because every other headline was just boring. This one really leaned into the Superman trope. I appreciate that, Deadline.
As they should.
And the article is actually better than all the other articles. So this is what they say. Superman will soar into cinemas all over the world this summer after a tactical legal win by Warner Bros. Discovery and David Zaslav and DC Comics over the estate of one of the Man of Steel creators, citing jurisdictional. I can't say that word. Can you say that word? Jurisdictional reach or lack thereof. A federal judge this week TKO'd an ambitious effort launched in January by Mark Warren Perry, executor of the estate of Joe Shuster, creator of Superman, to stop the release of the James Gunn helmed tentpole in parts of what was once the British Empire, represented by longtime Warner Brothers foe Mark Toberoff. The action sought damages and injunctive relief for defendants' ongoing infringement in Canada, the UK, Ireland, Australia, and other multinational ownership rights. Now I'm going to stop there.
So real quick, they do have a reasonable argument here. So the rule is the copyright rules are supposed to be terminated after 25 years after the author's death. So Schuster died in 1992. So Perry, the relative who's arguing this, they're saying, look, the copyright came back to the family in 2017. Now, Brian, we've seen this problem all across industry, right? Where this rule was created before brands had long-term life, right? So is this a fairness for the consumer? Should it be fairness for the company who bought the rights? What do you think's going on here?
Well, yes, and I'll tell you why. And it's not just because I like Superman, but you were asking me last year when they revealed the Superman crest, the one for this movie. You were asking me why it looks so different. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And what I told you was that crest was from Superman Kingdom Come at the time. And they used that crest because they own that crest. So here's the most familiar crest. Most people will recognize this pretty much immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the Man of Steel from the Henry Cavill version. Look how different it is, ready? There it is, way different.
Yeah, you're right. The middle section's fatter.
Right. They did that for a reason. Now here is the new crest. Much different, right?
I mean, I of course like the first one.
Of course.
So
we like the original.
Go figure.
However, remember this. It's not just James Gunn's preference, but more than likely, it also has something to do with legal ownership. Remember, Mickey Mouse is technically, right now, public domain, but not the Mickey that is most famous.
The original Mickey.
The original Mickey, Steamboat Willie, right?
Right.
That original one right now is public domain. Shay and I can make a sweet t-shirt or mugs or whatever with Steamboat Willie. Anyone can. However, just because that version of Mickey is copyright and trademarked doesn't mean the most popular version is copyright and trademarked.
It seems a little fishy to me. Like that seems a little bit controlling. Like that you could just make a slight variation and continue the trademark. That seems a little weird to me.
Well, I don't know if they're continuing the trademark, but starting a new trademark for another version of that IP.
So like Bugs Bunny changed looks multiple times throughout his life. Could we go back to the latest one and start doing stuff with that and it not be, IP infringement?
I don't know. I'll be real. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that when you make a character change, like there isn't just one trademark for Mickey. There's multiple trademarks for every version of Mickey. And same with Superman. There isn't just one trademark just for the original action comic Superman. There's going to be trademark. I'm sorry. I'm saying it wrong. Thank you, Christopher. Copyright. My bad, Christopher. Thank you. I was just admonished by our lawyer here in the chat.
What do you say?
I was saying trademark. I should have been saying copyright.
It is copyright. Yeah. You know, DC's owned Superman since 1938. So Siegel and Schuster sold the rights to the character and the story for $130.
Well, yeah. So that before it was called DC, it was called another company, but
right. But that's DC. DC has owned it that long.
Right. So the version of Superman that Schuster's estate owned internationally, let me ask you a question: is that the version they're using for Superman in July?
Oh, I doubt it.
It's not. It's just not. The name, sure, but and by the way, isn't it interesting how Henry Cavill was never called Superman in the movie Man of Steel?
I don't remember that. Is that true?
It's true. And the movie,
they never used the word Superman?
The movie wasn't called Superman.
I know the movie wasn't, but in the movie, no character called him Superman?
Yeah. So Amy Adams at one point said something about what are you some kind of Superman? And he was like, it's not an S. It's not an S. The symbol stands for hope.
They just alluded to it. They didn't actually call him that.
Yeah. So they never used the word Superman. They used a completely different version of the crest. And the title of the movie wasn't called Superman. So when it comes to this story, this movie, you have a movie that, yes, it's called Superman, but everything in the movie Superman is stuff that wasn't created by Schuster. It was just based on Schuster's original idea. So I think this is the last time this estate is going to be able to get away with this. And I'll tell you why. Because they've done this multiple times. And this time was a lot different in the reaction from the judge. They don't.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get away with this one. Honestly,
they're not. Yeah,
it's been pushed back, but they took in 1992 they took a deal. So the Schuster family took a deal. It should have gone back to them in 1992, but they made a deal with DC for $25,000 a year. So the fact that they're taking it to court now is so disingenuous. Like, you took the money, now you want to try to sue again in other courts. It just sounds so ucky to me, So like, it's not something you created. Granted, it was one of your ancestors who created it. It just, you might be great people. I don't know you personally, but it just sure seems pretty yucky to me.
Yeah. Also, whatever lawyer convinced you that $25,000 a year for one of the most popular characters of all time is pretty insane. Like, you need to fire that guy.
Let me tell you how that went down, okay? We can give you $25,000 a year, or we can fight it out in courts for the next 20 years.
Right.
What would you guys like to do?
Right. Yeah, they'll lose that.
So, now you got money to go to court? So, I mean, that's what these big brands do. And I'm not saying like I do, it's funny that my political beliefs are so interesting, but I do not like too much power going to corporations.
No, neither do I. I actually hate copyright. I'm an artist. I hate the fact that I have to skirt the law when I try to create a parody of something or anything that's inspired by anything.
Right.
You and I have made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shirts designs, and we're always tied to the fact that, man, if there is anything in here that someone can be considered copyright or a trademark violation, we're screwed.
It's true. But, and I equally, as distasteful as I find some of these corporations, I equally find it distasteful when the offspring of some talented or creative person tries to benefit off of that for the rest of their life, when their, the progeny didn't create it, their ancestor created it and they sold it off. That was their choice. So, tough luck, I guess, so, and maybe that's coming from a guy who was never left anything, but hey, that's the way it is.
No, I'm with you. I think I hate the copyright laws in our country. Like, I hate them. And it's all Disney's fault. It's literally all Disney's fault. Disney did this. Disney did not want to lose control of Mickey Mouse. So they went to court every time the copyright was every time Mickey Mouse was about to enter public domain. They went to court and they had it extended. They literally changed the laws. When copyright first became a thing, it was the lifetime. It was like 10 years, and then it was
25 years.
Then it was 25 years, and the lifetime of the artist. Right. Disney kept adding extensions on extensions on extensions, and they got them to change laws where they can effectively make 125-year copyright.
The reason that was easy was because Walt Disney owned the copyright. It's not like they got it from someone else. They got it. It was the creator of Disney.
Right.
So it's not like the family was big on, they already got a ton of money it was an easy road for them. There was no one fighting them on it. I just want to point out here, Christopher Mays in the chat, who is a lawyer, says that depends on if the license for that $25K included worldwide rights. That's a really great point. If not, then I can see why the family would want to go, and Christopher Mays would know. So thank you, Christopher.
So in response to what they hope to be a box office smash that reinvigorates the DC brand, WBD, repped by Daniel, I'm not even going to try to say that last name, and another guy, I'm not going to try to say his last name, said today, "We are pleased with the court's decision to dismiss this baseless lawsuit, as we have consistently maintained that DC controls all rights to Superman." And there's the first Superman in 1938.
Action Comics.
Even that S is totally different than the classic S that you and I are accustomed to.
Because he was Superman. And that's it.
Yeah, the S didn't stand for hope. It was an S. It wasn't that hard. In a deal they came to regret after creating one of the most successful and lucrative properties in media history, Jerry Siegel and Schuster assigned worldwide Superman rights to DC's predecessor in 1938, getting a mere $65 each. Wow. The copyright laws of countries with the British legal tradition, including Canada, the UK, Ireland, and Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after the author's death. So this is really important, though, because movies that can't open worldwide tend to do, obviously they do worse. Even though the domestic box office accounts for the majority of money from a film, as from US, Second, right, very close second would be China. And a close third would be the UK. So if you can't open in these places, then you're talking about effectively cutting a third of your possible profit out of the film. And we saw that with Black Adam. Black Adam made $400-something million. Well, it didn't open in China. Remember? They do not like. They're very racist over there. And the second, it's true. They don't want black people on their movie covers or posters. And like you have this, racially androgynous dude in The Rock, and he's like, I'm making a movie called Black Adam, and they just did not let it release. And I'm not sure if that's the reason, but I do know that it didn't release, and the movie was considered a flop. Had it released in China, with all of its sort of crazy over-the-top overtones, it probably would have been a wild success, because it would have made another $200 million in China. You would have seen a $600 to $700 million, profitable run. So
yeah, which might have given it more legs, might have changed things. But just real quick for all of you Superman fans who want to know when the S or the symbol on Superman's chest became hope, that was actually from the 1978 Superman the movie, and you can thank Marlon Brando for that, who was getting ready to do his scenes, and I guess worked it out with some of the filmmakers that he wanted it to be like, this is the family crest, and of course it means hope. So anyways, just
by the way,
sure.
That's awesome. It makes a lot more sense that
it does. Yeah.
That what we consider S just happens to also, it just happens to be a crest for his family. That is much cooler than a dude that wears an S on his chest because someone said Superman. I think.
Well, you got to remember, Marlon Brando. He's just, the storied actor who needed something a little deeper than just a comic book movie.
Right.
He was.
I recently watched it, Superman 1978.
Great movie.
I just watched this recently. I got the physical media, and
that's my Superman, by the way. Just
what's that?
That's my Superman.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves is Shane's Superman.
That's my Superman.
And I wouldn't call him my Superman, but I liked, he was a good Superman. My Superman is probably more of an animated, the animated Superman, to be honest.
I like this comment. Hope starts with H, stupid.
But I gotta say, Marlon Brando, that scene went so long. He really put, you know what I'm talking about, right? He put so much passion in it. He's like, I need everyone to feel this performance.
Oh yeah, he owned it. I mean,
Kal-El.
Bro, part of the reason why that movie is so great is Marlon Brando set the freaking tone at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. He set the tone.
This is a serious film. You will take this serious.
And listen, we don't get Gene Hackman without Marlon Brando, because the only reason Gene Hackman wanted to be in the movie was because Marlon Brando was in the movie. He wanted to work with Marlon.
Right.
A lot of people passed up on it, but more on that in a future date.
Yeah. Yeah. We will be talking about that. I guarantee it. I just smacked my microphone. Sorry. All right. Well, that's it pretty much for this. We're going to be talking about China next, but let us know what you guys think about this. If the movie was only going to release in the United States and a couple other countries, and it wasn't going to be able to release in the UK or China or Australia, what would that have done to the box office? And you got to think about this. If the box office for Superman is low, if it's not a runaway success, how does that affect this whole planned DCU?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I'm still not of the mind that worldwide box office numbers mean as much. I mean, they mean more to the studios, but as far as how good a film is, I think the domestic numbers are still incredibly important. Because if Americans turn out for it, then it says one thing. If the rest of look at some of the movies that have huge worldwide numbers, but just weren't that good.
Yeah, Americans
the Jurassic World, the latest Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, that's true. But America sets the tone for pulp culture,
right?
So if America, generally like something, then it'll trickle down to everything else. I get that.
Now, if China doesn't let Superman go in its country, I don't think it impacts Superman at all. I mean, that's why are they doing it? Not because they're doing it because of this whole tariff thing going on. Not because they don't want. There's something in the content that would make them worried about their people being mind fucked by Americans.
Well, they haven't been very friendly with Warner Brothers, to be fair.
Well, they're not very friendly at all.
Yeah, they're not friendly at all, which we're going to talk about that. But let us know what you guys think about that. What happens if this movie isn't a success? I want you to consider that and comment below. What happens if Superman is not a success? What happens to DCU and all the plans they have? What if Superman completely flops? Because there's a lot of Snyder fans out there that wants it. I know you and I.
It's not going to.
Shane.
I mean, you can ask what if all you want, but everyone's going to go see that movie. I don't care if you are any way, shape fan of comics. Everyone's going to, at least that first movie is going to be successful. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like you can go through the, what if scenario.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a huge success. It's Superman.
I don't know if it's going to be good, but I know it's going to make a lot of money.
I'm not saying I'm not saying if it's going to be good or bad. I'm saying that it's going to be a success. I believe it's $1 billion movie wrapped up, ready to go. Like I believe that. But there are people who wholeheartedly believe this movie is going to flop, quote unquote, hard, because they're very much brainwashed or driven by that Snyder culture, and they just hate everything James Gunn.
But see, even they're going to go watch it. They can tell me, you can look me in the face all you want, and I'm a Snyder bro, just like everybody else. I love, I'm a Justice League Snyder bro.
Yeah, I
don't really like anything he's produced lately at all.
Yeah, I like the DC. I like the DCEU stuff. That's what I like.
I like his DC stuff. But here's the thing: you like me more than Snyder. You like Superman, so you're going to go see the movie,
right?
That's it.
Yeah. That's the perfect statement. I like Snyder's DCEU. I like James Gunn's movies more than any of that. I like Superman.
Exactly.
Period. Let's just stop right there. That's it.
Yeah. I'll even throw Brandon Ruth on time to time. It's all good.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Hey, listen. I know Superman Returns sucked.
It's not that bad of a movie to watch.
But
it's just
if you watch it now, I'm serious. Watch the Christopher Reeve
Kevin
one.
Spacey's great.
Watch the Christopher Reeve run of Superman.
It's a sequel, bro.
And
officially,
yes, and immediately turn on Superman Returns with Brandon Ruth. Immediately.
No, it's Superman 2. So you got to watch the original movie, then Superman 2. It's actually the third movie.
So it's a trilogy. So
it's trilogy.
So put it on right after Superman 2, and don't wait 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. And I love that Brandon Ruth, and that was like his debut, his first real acting gig. He went on to be in a show called Legends of Tomorrow, where he actually was able to reprise his Superman Returns role for a crossover.
Oh yeah.
And dude, I felt so good for him, and that giant stupid grin on his face when he finally got to put that costume on one last time and sort of redeem this role, because now he's an experienced actor. When he first started acting, he was
missing the twinkle.
Right.
The problem with his Superman is he was missing the extra thing that Christopher Reeve has. That's the problem. But I did love him in Chuck, by the way.
Oh, he's great in Chuck. Yeah,
he was really good.
He was great. So I think that Chuck was okay, I can act. That's when I first realized that dude can act.
Yeah.
And Legends is where I didn't love him, but I was like, this guy can act, good character. And in Legends, I actually ended up liking the guy. Like, I liked him as a person. I liked his personality. All right, anyways, let us know what you guys think about this and everything else.